And we're back for part two on this week's episode of Friday Night Counter Attack. And big thank you to Denmark and PSG striker Amelie Vansgaard for her time and our conversation this week. Now we're on to talking to another fantastic striker in the world of football, Sara, because we are discussing the top 5 strikers in world football today. And it's a very, very difficult conversation to have, Sara, because first of all, I assumed you played up front. Where do you play when you play football,
You're
Sara? Just
so funny. You are so funny. Do you know
where
what
do
I
you...
do? I do. I play left wing though.
Oh no, you're a
Oh God.
winger. You're a Luis
Yeah.
Suarez. No, not a Suarez. You're an Alexis Sanchez, left winger,
Oh,
inverted, coming in, shooting.
yeah, that is my cut in is my favorite thing to do. I'm not even left-footed, but I've gotten so used to just cutting in on the left and then swinging.
That's good. That's how it used to be like 10 years ago until they became inverted. If you think about it, on our podcast chat, the presenters could actually make a really good five-a-side. So you've got Travis in goal, you've got me at centre back, you've got Suki as a defensive midfielder, box to box, you can play out from the back as well. You've got Salim as an attacking mid slash striker. You've got you as a left wing slash striker as well. I think we'd be pretty good. That's
We just gotta
actually
get someone on the right wing and we're sorted.
it's true. Maybe Suki has to go out on the right, and we've got a front three that's absolutely killing it right now. But there's a bit of an unbalance right now, in our theoretical five-a-side, which is what's the term? Transatlantic. It's a transatlantic five-a-side that we've got ready, and we're rocking and rolling for this one. Just like how Victor Roque was rocking and rolling for his first goal at the time of recording for Barcelona. And if we are talking about some of the best strikers in world football right now, the question has to be asked, Sarah, before we get into our debate and our conversation. I think it's a very easy conversation to have Victor Roque within 2, 3 years being one of the top strikers in Europe because of how low the bar is set in European football, in world football for proper out and out number 9 strikers. Would you agree with that statement?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we were speaking about this as we decided what our topic would be for, this upcoming pod. And when we were speaking about strikers present day, you don't see as many as you used to. The quality has totally shifted. So if you're thinking about someone like Vitor Roque, yeah, he's just come to Barcelona. Yeah, he's just scored his first goal. He's barely had minutes for the club. But in 2 years' time, absolutely it could happen. There's not much competition. And I'm not saying that in like a necessarily like a negative way. It's just kind of the way it is right now. Sure, the strikers that we do have right now, they are great, but there are not many of them.
Mehdi
So
Taremi being one of them as well. Chaotic game happened on the same day at the time of recording. Tell the audience what happened, Sarah, if they are not following the Asia Cup right now. What happened to Iran and to Mehdi Taremi especially? He had a
well,
fantastic the
that's
event
literally
again.
why I'm wearing the Iranian jersey for my Leopards. Team Melly all the way. I mean, crazy game. You know what? First of all, we have to start with shouting out Syria because they had never made it this far in the competition in the first place. You're taking on one of the best teams in Asia, and you take them to penalties. And let me tell you, the penalties that were taken from not only Iran, but Syria as well were great penalties. I'm talking way better than some of the ones I saw in the World Cup, like really quality penalties. So yeah, great game. Iran is now going on to face Japan in the quarterfinals. And this to
That
me
would
is the
be an
fun.
amazing final, but it's a quarter final, so it's
Yeah,
crazy to see that.
I'm a bit upset about it because I do think that should be the final. If I was looking into this
Agreed.
tournament before it started, I think that's the final. Maybe Korea, but I genuinely think Korea would probably be the semifinal and these two in the final. And I don't want to sound rude, but it's a bit unfortunate when you have teams like South Korea and Australia, and then Iran and Japan, and then you have
Say
I
it.
think
Say it. Say it. Say it.
Jordan and is it Jordan and Tajikistan?
Tajikistan. And who else? Your favorite team? Your favorite Asian team?
Who? Oh, Qatar.
Your favorites. They're in
No,
there.
but you know what I mean? Like you have Jordan and Tajikistan, and then you have Iran and Japan. Like, I mean, of course, this is what happens, tournament style football, but it is a bit gut wrenching when you think like the two best teams, one of them is going to be going out in the quarterfinal. Unlucky, but listen, it does make for really good quarterfinal setup. Iran's looking tired though, so we'll have to see how they do on Saturday.
Australia also ranked quite high as well. So 2 of the 4 best teams left in the competition are going to be out
But
before the
that's what I'm
semi-final as
saying.
well.
You have two quarterfinals that are probably looking like semifinals to me.
Yeah, I would
And
say so.
Yeah, so it's gonna be interesting. Again, this just goes to show you that it was built for Qatar, because if Qatar make it to the finals,
Again, two
I'm not
tournaments in a row.
I'm not saying anything. Ridiculous.
Oh,
Ridiculous.
Asia Cup is chaotic. AFCON is chaotic. We'll get back
No,
onto
AFCON
AFCON.
is a different AFCON is different gravy. It's
I
different. It doesn't even make sense.
All I'm saying is it's the most entertaining football tournament I've seen all year round as well. There's nothing that beats it. The quality, the drama, everything's been absolutely fantastic as well. But one striker who is absolutely fantastic and playing in AFCON this year is Victor Osimhen, but he's not had the best of seasons so far for Napoli with the change of management, the internal issues they've had with the club as well, the social media issues as well. Does he make your top five for this season, 23-24, Sarah, for top five strikers in the world this season?
It's hard to say this season because last season, no doubt, he's there, right?
Top
But this
three
season,
last season.
yeah, 100%. But this season, I think you named some of the issues that he's been dealing with. So I think it would be unfair if we didn't put him in our top five, because I think a lot of what he's dealing with isn't based on him and his talent. I
Mm.
think we need to see him leave Napoli, unfortunately, but hopefully then go to what looks like is the Premier League, which I think he will excel in, and hopefully do that and kind of see that Victor Osimhen from last season. And as we're watching AFCON, we've seen his contribution to the Nigerian team and how important he is. We know the talent is there. So I think it wouldn't be just if we didn't add him to the five because of these kind of controversies going off the pitch, because it doesn't really seem like it has to do with him himself and what he brings.
If I can make a plea to Sir Jim Radcliffe, our new part owner at Manchester United, this is a plea directly to you. If you are looking for a poster boy for Manchester United next summer and Marcus Rashford is to be leaving, I implore you, Sir Jim Radcliffe, please sign Victor Osimhen from Napoli. 100 million, 120 million, I don't care. If you need to sell Rashford, sell him. If you need to sell Anthony and Sancho, sell them. I don't care. But we
Oh,
need a poster boy who's going to be leading the line, who can teach Rasmus Hojlund how to be a better all-round striker. Bring in Victor Osimhen, please. I implore you. If you're looking for someone who can make this new regime a lot more exciting for Manchester United fans, Victor Osimhen, bring him in. I'd love to see it. But
I
yeah,
hope.
for me, he's not
Yeah.
in my top five for this season as well. Sarah, I would say.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. I think we have to remember what he's capable of.
Mm.
Going back to Manchester United, it seems like he has links there, but that being said, Manchester United at the moment do have a striker, and they don't seem to play a formation that works well with him. So my concern would be Victor Osimhen, of course, is better than Hoyland, but then what is the point? I'm just, do you know what I mean? Like I'm a bit
It's
confused.
so bad, man. It's so bad. Sorry, you're looking at it and you're watching the Newport County game, and you texted me. For anyone listening who watched the Newport County game, you can see how bad Man United are, even against a League Two side. When Garnacho and Anthony cannot cross their ball they can't cross the ball with their opposite foot to Rasmus Hojlund, who's in the 6 yard box, who's got no one in front of him but the goalkeeper. They create no chances for him, and it becomes really, really difficult. And of the 9 goals that he scored this season, 5 of them he's created himself by running onto the ball, by individual brilliance as well. 4 of them have been like pre-assists, and one of them has been an assist to Rasmus Hojlund. And it goes to show that, realistically speaking, Man United don't play to Rasmus Hojlund's strengths. I really believe he should be scoring a lot more goals, but we have inept wingers, Sarah. We have
I
really,
completely
really bad
agree, though.
wingers.
I don't think it's on the striker. I completely agree. But then why bring in an even better striker that isn't fitting into the system? The issue is the
We got to sell
striker.
our wingers. That's the thing. We got to sell our wingers. They're just not
Totally.
good enough.
Yeah,
They just
Anthony.
don't create chances at all. You're watching the Spurs team now with Kulusevski, with even Werner, who's come into the side as well. They're creating strikers chances for Richarlison. That's why Richarlison's scoring so many goals now under Ange Postecoglou, and that's just how they're improving themselves. You've seen Ollie Watkins getting amazing chances from
Yeah.
Musa Diaby, Leon Bailey, John McGinn as well. It's really comfortable to see how well these other teams who are normally below Manchester United in the league, and obviously the teams that our co-host support, Spurs and Aston Villa respectively, doing much better than Manchester United because their strikers are getting in and amongst the goals, which is really, really bad
Yeah,
for Manchester
shouts
United.
to Travis and Salim. I'm sure they're loving it right now.
And Suki, who's probably swearing on the group chat about Bentancur and Oliver Skip in midfield. But we love to see it. We love to see it, which is great.
Yeah. The thing is that with Osimhen, the other team that I've heard he's linked to is naturally Chelsea, because they
Mm.
just have to have their hands in everyone's pocket apparently. But
Didier
I
Drogba going up to him after the round of 16 game as well. He's not even Ivorian, and Victor Osimhen's being best
just a
friended
little,
by Didier Drogba. He's like,
yeah, that's
I
like
know
how,
the owner.
yeah, no, it's not good because we also see what's going on at Chelsea right now. And do I think Chelsea will bounce back from whatever they're going through right now? Yes, I do.
Oh,
But
okay.
I've seen too many players recently go there and really decline. And I don't want that for Victor Osimhen. Football doesn't want Victor Osimhen.
So many strikers go down there and decline as well.
Exactly. So I don't really know. Between if it's between those two right now, it's kind of between a rock and a hard place in my opinion, because both clubs don't really look too inviting. And especially as a striker, are you going to excel at either of those places? I'm not too sure. So hopefully Victor Osimhen does leave Napoli because it seems like he's already out the door. But maybe go somewhere where he can properly, properly crack on.
And that brings me to my next point because the next player I want to talk about, who definitely makes my list, is Lautaro Martinez, who's been
Your
absolutely.
favorite, your favorite Argentine.
I do like him. I do like him. Maybe a bit more than Lisandro Martinez, who is the
Oh,
other Martinez from the Argentina national side, or German Pizzala. Shout out German Pizzala, my Real Betis centre back, as well. But no, Lautaro Martinez. Sorry, I've got to ask you the question as well because he's been killing it for good 4 or 5 years now. At Inter Milan, he seems to be the mainstay there in Serie A. He's more or less a poster boy in a way for Serie A, being one of their best strikers and the captain of Inter Milan, leading them to the Champions League final last season, top at the moment of Serie A, so they're neck and neck with Juventus in the Scudetto. I need to hear your thoughts on Lautaro Martinez because for the casual fan who doesn't watch Serie A, they'll just remember him from the World Cup being the unsuccessful partner of Lionel Messi. But when he's playing in his team to his strengths under the Simone Inzaghi, he's absolutely flying, scoring more goals than playing games. And is that a reason why yeah, I think I can say it like this. There's one of the few big teams in world football left, Sara, where you've got two strikers as a partnership. So you've got Marcus Thuram and you've got Lautaro Martinez. Do you think Lautaro Martinez could work as a single striker like we've seen with Haaland, like we've seen with Kane, like we've seen with Osimhen as well? Do you think he could really work in a one striker system?
it's hard to see that because it doesn't seem like he needs to have the contribution from other players in order for him to finish the plays, which isn't a
Agreed.
bad thing because he does finish very well. But I don't know if he'd be able to do it all on his own if he doesn't have that from his, partner in crime right now, Marcus Thuram. And the issue that I have with him is that no doubt he's killing it this season. And like you mentioned, he has been a top player in the Serie A for probably the last 5 years. But there's such a weird connection with attacking Argentinian players playing really well at club level and then
Oh, that's so true.
absolutely just playing like garbage for the national team. And there's maybe two exceptions, and that's Lionel Messi and Angel Di Maria. Because we have
Hit the
seen,
nail on the head. You've hit the nail on the head there,
no,
honestly.
but Carlos Tevez, Kun Agüero, Higuain,
Higuain,
like what is,
Dybala, another one.
oh,
Dybala's best contribution for Argentina is tackling Kylian Mbappe in the 122nd minute of the World Cup final. Not a goal or an assist.
crazy,
It's literally that
crazy.
tackle.
But it seems to be like a trend. And I know a lot of people are probably going to say, well, with Kun Agüero, with Carlos Tevez, they were really
Diego
injury
Milito as
prone.
well.
Oh my goodness, you're so right.
Mm.
There always
It's all
seems
flooding back to me. Rob Palacio's another one.
see what I mean? What is going on? I know, yeah. So I was saying like some of these players were getting injured right before, an international tournament or, a continental tournament. So they weren't able to come to Argentina. So maybe they weren't performing, but they still weren't making the team. Because I remember so much blame was being put on Lionel Messi during especially like the 2014 World Cup. And I was like, the only reason Argentina were in that final and took Germany to extra time was because of Messi. The rest of no one else showed up. And that was
And the
really
Copa
bad.
America as well, when the meme of
Oh,
Lionel Messi crying
when
and Sanchez was
Chile
smiling when
when
Chile
Chile
won.
ran it back twice.
Yeah.
Crazy.
You're looking at the rest of the team, and it's like that LeBron James meme of no help. I'll put it in the group later on so you get the reference. But it's just like literally
No, I
there was
know.
there was no help around for Lionel Messi at the time, and that's probably why I don't want to put it all solely on Lautaro Martinez, but he's always had Mauro Icardi with him. He's always had Edin Dzeko, Romelu Lukaku, and Marcus Thuram. So he's always had a strike partner, a dance partner with him, which is why he succeeded really well. So I'd like to get a few Inter Milan perspectives on this one as well. So I may have to ask a few of my Inter Milan supporting friends to see what they actually think of it. But it's a really good conversation I have as well.
Yeah.
To have as well. If two striking partnerships are coming back into fashion, or they're just going to be comfortable in certain leagues. Because right now Brentford are playing with two up top in a 3-5-2, but you never really see an old-fashioned type of 4-4-2 with a flat midfield four anymore because centre midfielders don't play that way with just two
Yeah,
against three. But yeah, Lautaro
yeah,
Martinez, 18 goals in Serie A at the time of recording. He's ready for his game against Dusan Vlahovic, who I would say he didn't make my list for this one because there are a
no,
few other strikers, but he's definitely been absolutely fantastic for Juventus and has finally found his groove in another formation where it's 3-5-2 and Massimiliano Allegri changed his way of playing to suit Vlahovic and Federico Chiesa, another fan favorite of, well, I want another fan favorite of me, I would say. I'm a big fan of
yeah,
Federico Chiesa, but with Dusan Vlahovic as well, this was the opposite side of the coin, Sara, where you're looking at him playing as a lone striker last season. He didn't really hit it off with Juventus in his full first season at Juventus. And then now he's playing as a 3-5-2 with another incredible attacking striker in Federico Chiesa. And now is back to scoring 12 goals in the Serie A. Juventus are a point or two away from Inter Milan at the time of recording as well. So it goes to show Juventus are very much back in the swing of things in Serie A. Have you been impressed by what you've seen from Dusan Vlahovic over the course of the season?
I have been. I mean, it's definitely like a step up from last season, I think. But I have an issue with Juventus. Like, I just don't find their football of late very intriguing. I struggle.
It's not for the faint-hearted. It's very tedious, repetitive, boring, slow,
Yeah,
long ball football at times, which suits Vlahovic's game. But it gets the job done a lot for Maximiliano Allegri, and that's how it's kind of changed his way since he's come back to Juventus as well. A lot slower, and
yeah.
Juventus fans are very, very angry with the way that he continues to play this dull brand of football.
It is. It is. It's difficult, especially as like a neutral fan, when you used to, think about the Serie A in like the early 2000s and what that football was, and now you're looking at it now and you're like,
You're
this
like,
is.
let me bring my phone out whilst the first versus second is on Serie A on Sunday. Yeah, it's a bit tedious right now with this the style of play, but with Dusan Vlahovic as well, I think it's going to be an absolute showstopper of a football as well. I know it's very much suited his game to Premier League football as well, to international football, Serbia. But I think he's going to be one for the future at this time of speaking. 24 years of age as well. The most goals he scored in the season is 29. So I'm looking forward to seeing
That's
how
crazy.
I think he costs the same as Gonzalo Higuain when Juventus signed Gonzalo Higuain as well. So that's also a topic of conversation of how expensive good strikers are and if they're paying for potential more than anything now as well with strikers. But I need to know someone from your list, Sarah. Who do you think is going to make it onto your top five list? Because remember, it's strikers nowadays. They can play as wingers or strikers, kind of like yourself. I'm kind of bigging you up here, Sarah, to think that if you were in a five-a-side, a transatlantic five-a-side for Friday Night Counter Attack, you would be our number nine up front. How do you say nine in Spanish? Siete?
Nueve.
Nueve. What's siete?
Seven. Davia. There you go.
Seven. That's fine. We can give that to Suki.
When we were talking about this pod, you initially had said you wanted proper number nines.
I did say, but with some people now, they're like, oh, they can play on the left or they can play on the right, but they also play as a striker as well. I'm like, fair enough. Let's see how it goes.
Well, then you tell me how you feel about this, because this player is an absolute chameleon, and he has been one of the best players in this season across all of Europe, and that is Antoine Greizmann. And I
Yeah,
think the versatility of this player, we've seen him play on the right, in the left, in the middle. So I think it would be. I know he's not your typical striker like your Lautaros, your Vlahovic. Some of these other names we're going to get down to. I don't want to leak them just yet, but I think it would be a disservice if we did not add Antoine Griezmann to this list,
I can
because
support your point with that one, Sarah, because now it comes into the point of what even is a normal striker these days. Because all the strikers we're going to be talking about now, from now until the end of the conversation, they're all different types of thoroughbreds of strikers. They're not going to be the same type. They're not going to be the same target men or complete number nines or mobile strikers or wingers turn strikers like Antoine Griezmann, for example. It's going to be different varieties, my friend. So I'm happy to support this one of Antoine Griezmann. Tell us a bit more about how it's shone for Atletico Madrid in the Champions League and especially in La Liga with 18 goals so far this season.
I hype him up with my video this weekend. I'll just give you that much right now.
I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it. The listeners are
Atleti,
ready for it.
Atleti, Real Madrid, obviously. But listen, with Griezmann, he's had such poor luck with the way that he was at Atletico and then came to Barca, and then
You
Atletico
ruined
won
him.
the league, and then he left Barca, and then Barca won the league. It's a matter of a year. The unluckiness he has. Granted, he still is a World Cup winner. We have to give him that. Like, let's not take that away from him. But I just think that he's such an underrated player still. And the fact that he's having a resurgence at the age of 32 it's really rare. You don't see, this is kind of the age where players start to decline. And in fact, Antoine Griezmann is only accelerating. He's
Decline like Neymar, you mean? He's also like 32 years old in Saudi Arabia.
started declining at like 28.
Painful
Wait,
for when he moved to PSG, that was the start of his
that
decline.
was that. No, it was not this. It was right, just 90 degrees.
It was
Like
like,
it
let's
was,
rip up the contract and let's just leave. It's all good for me. That's what
yeah,
Neymar was
no,
doing.
Neymar is forever one of the saddest stories in football. I really, we can't even get into that. But
But
Antoine,
one of the greatest comebacks is Antoine Griezmann. Sorry, I'm interrupting you. I
really,
apologize,
no,
but
you're not. No, 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 no. But yeah, no, he's been incredible for Atleti this season. Atleti this season also look like they're kind of having a resurgence. You know, we see them kind of underneath Barcelona and Real Madrid a lot of the times. They don't really perform as well in the Champions League. And this year it seems like Atleti are really going for it and they're not scared. A lot of the time with Simeone ball, we see them very defensive kind of minded. If there's a draw in the last 10 minutes, they'll just park the bus. They won't go for it. But this season it seems like, you know what, get out there, let's be, offensive, let's be attacking here, let's really, go for it, try and win La Liga, try and win the Champions League. And I think that's because of two players specifically. One of them is Antoine Griezmann. But yeah, the tactics are working in his favor from Simeone, and it's really exciting to see. And it's kind of ironic because now Atleti and Real Madrid this season and this season alone, do not take this any other way, but has kind of become what the Clasico used to be, because Barca this season have not been exciting whatsoever.
I know that
Real
was painful
Madrid,
for you to say out loud.
it
I
was
know that
it
was
literally
painful.
took everything out of me.
Very
Yeah, no.
brave of you, but I know that was very painful for you, a Barcelona fan, to say out loud. So
The
fair
thing
play
is,
to you.
I'm at least a realist. I want people to understand that I know what's going on, guys. Like, give me a break. But these two have been the last two games we've seen from them, 14 goals in two matches in football. It's so good to see Atleti doing this, and I'm so happy that Griezmann is kind of the main man. And genuinely, I think he's one of the top players, like I said, in the world right now.
I would agree with that because when you're looking at how he came back into the swing of things at Atletico Madrid, he got that permanent deal back at Atletico Madrid. All these other strikers that were in and around the club, they're like, no, Antoine Griezmann is the one that's going to be playing. They're going to build a team around him. And that's what Diego Simeone's done. He's recognized that. He's had that intelligence to go, you know what, we're going to make this team flow through Antoine Griezmann because we want to get the best out of our best player. And that's how it's worked for Atletico Madrid. And I'm really excited to see what they're going to bring against Inter Milan in the Champions League in the next month or so when that happens. I mean, at the time of recording, it's January, but it's going to happen in February, March time, which is all good. But I'm really excited to see how Antoine Griezmann comes back into it. And remember, another European Championships in the summer as well. So we could see prime Antoine Griezmann again, but then playing as an attacking midfielder like he did in the World Cup because he has so much technical ability. He can play anywhere in the attacking six positions, I would say.
He
Right
was so
wing,
good in
left
that
wing,
World Cup for
striker.
France too. Like he
Absolutely
was
dominating.
so important to that team. Oh my goodness. Yeah, no, he's so versatile. Like there aren't many players like him, and it's amazing. So yeah, I think Antoine Griezmann has to be in the top five. He's brilliant, and I think we're just going to see him get better and better. He has 18 goals right now. We're just kind of past the halfway point in La Liga. I think he can get that to 30. Like genuinely, like he is on fire.
Who can beat Antoine Griezmann realistically in La Liga for top scorer? I can't see anyone at all beating him this season.
Bellingham.
Bellingham. Imagine how, don't want to be rude, but imagine how La Liga's striking form has dropped because they've got Griezmann and Bellingham as one of their best
It's
attacking
about
outlets as well.
Lewandowski with like a cane trying to play for Barcelona.
Don't disrespect him like that. He was good once upon a time. Oh my
Oh, he was
days.
for sure great, but like it's get like
Even last season, it was pretty good for you as well, but it's just the
It
season
was,
too
but like
far.
it was one season and we should have stuck to the one season deal. But yeah, no, you're not wrong. I mean, Bellingham, how many goals is Bellingham at? 14 in La Liga?
14 in La Liga, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, he has the service for sure. So we'll have to see. But I hope I hope Griezmann wins the Pichichi because he deserves it. There's somebody he plays alongside though that maybe could give him a run for his money.
Oh, it's been fantastic this season, but I'm going to divert to his national teammate, who has been the one and only talking point for me of the January transfer window as well. And again, Sara, it's an and an in situation. We are going to Paris. We are going to France for this one. We are going to the one and only Mr. Kylian Mbappe, who we can't really talk about strikers without talking about Kylian Mbappe because as of around November, December time, they moved him from a winger to the number 9 position as well. So they got rid of Gonzalo Ramos, who recently made his deal permanent from Benfica to PSG, and he didn't is not even making the starting lineup anymore. Their young striker, Hugo Ekitike, is barely in and around the squad as well. And Randall Kolo Muani is now moved to a left winger to accommodate Bradley Barcola, the youngster, and Kylian Mbappe, who's now playing as a striker once again. And Luis Enrique is getting a tune out of him in Ligue 1. But I think, honestly, when you think about it, every manager has got to tune out Kylian Mbappe in Ligue 1. It's in the Champions League where it matters because Kylian Mbappe has scored 19 goals in Ligue 1 this season as well. His most goals in a season is 42 goals as well, Sara. So I'm looking at it thinking, imagine if he does have another 6 more months at PSG and then he moves over to Madrid and he's going to be against Antoine Griezmann in the Madrid derby next season. Could you see that happening? Or do you think Kylian Mbappe is one and done with Madrid and is happy staying in Paris for a few more years?
And you know what? I agree. We have to talk about Mbappe when we have this conversation. But can I tell you how exhausted I am talking about Kylian Mbappe transfer rumors? Because this is what, year 3?
We don't even talk about transfer rumors on Friday Night Counter Attack, but we can't ignore the one transfer rumor that dominates world football. Apart from
It's
Jose
I think
Mourinho being linked with Man United again. That's a crazy transfer rumor that I saw today.
no,
Odd.
we
We can ignore that one for sure. But no, go ahead. Kylian Mbappe. Could you see it happening?
yeah, I think it's like the 6th transfer window now. I think it's about 3 years
The
that
biggest will they, won't they?
they just keep going and going. And honestly, I'll truly honestly, when I see it, I scroll right by. I scroll right by until I see Real Madrid or Kylian Mbappe post on their social. At this point, I don't even trust Fabrizio because I'm just like, I think there's
Just
so
block
much
them
going
all.
on.
Block them all, Sarah. Just wait until you see Mbappe on the pitch at the Burnabout in a white shirt.
That's truly though, because I mean, at this point, wasn't he halfway out the door last year? And then, the president of France called him up and said, all right, we'll make you the Prince of France or whatever the heck he,
Keys to
promised.
the city. It's gonna happen.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I can't, politicians are involved. I'm out. I am out. So yeah, if he does go to Real Madrid, Barcelona are in trouble. It's going to be crazy. It's good for La Liga, of course. I think he will excel at Real Madrid as well. He needs to get out of PSG. But until I see it, I don't know if it's going to happen. So we can't talk about the theoretical because I think we've been here too many times.
I would say so as well, because with Kylian Mbappe, when you get to just appreciate the player that you're seeing as well, you and Suki put it so eloquently at the end of last year as well. He's just one of the best players to watch when you're watching him pound for pound against any of the top attacking talents in the world. He's so aggressive on the ball. He like you mentioned about another chameleon earlier on as well. He's like a chameleon sometimes because sometimes he'll just slow the game down and speed the game up at his own demand, at his own impression as well. And you're looking at someone like he plays somewhat similar like him. Julian Alvarez, in my opinion, has a similar game to him, but is nowhere near as quick, nowhere near as precise, even if he has scored 2 goals tonight against Burnley, but is nowhere near as agile on and off the ball as well. And you're looking at it and you're just like, there's so much more that can bring Kylian Mbappe to the top of world football. Multiple Ballon d'Ors, multiple international trophies, and they really are in the golden age of French football now as well. And that's the problem that Didier Deschamps will have in the summer of do you play in which position for France? Do you continue with Giroud as your number 9? Do you keep Mbappe on the left-hand side? Do you keep Greizmann as an attacking midfielder? Where do you fit these French attackers all in around this team? Because another one's doing very, very well at Inter Milan as well. And do you get him into the starting lineup as well? Many questions have to be asked, Sarah.
It's tough to be France right now, isn't it? Like, let me just pick from my, hundreds of good players that we've produced. It's incredible. Their football federation is just immense. But yeah, I think truly Kylian Mbappe is the best attacking player in the world right now. And I know there's a few others that we're going to get to.
Mm.
But before we get to him, I think personally for me, he is the best. He is miles ahead of a specific player that plays at Man City, in my opinion. I think he just, like you said, a chameleon. He's so well rounded. He's still quite young, like he's 25. I think he can improve still, is my point. Um, I think his biggest downfall is playing for PSG because I think we need to see him in not only a more competitive league, but just a different system completely. Because although PSG keep rotating out their managers, it's still been under the same ownership. And I think he's just got to get rid of that drama and him himself needs to just like completely disconnect. So I'm really hoping we see him go somewhere where he can thrive, because we've seen what he's capable of at World Cup. Like, that final was insane. Kylian Mbappe said, "I'm gonna score 3 goals since the rest of you were sitting down." He won a World Cup when he was like 18 years old. Like, he is really incredible, and he's one of the like footballers that I feel like we're talking about where he has the sauce. He actually, like, he'll break your legs, he'll run right by you, he'll dangle you. Like, he's so good with his touch, his control, his pace, and he has a wicked shot. I don't think I can say that about some of the other players here. But
The
Mbappe is
variety he
just,
has as well is incredible
but
on him.
that's what I mean. Like, he's such a superstar. I think we just need to see him leave PSG and, hopefully go somewhere and just tear it up, because I think you're right. It's like Ballon d'Ors. Like, I really could see him being like on the level of like Ronaldo and Messi, not in the sense of maybe their playing level, but winning like, up to like 4 or 5 Ballon d'Ors. But he's wasting time at PSG. Like, we're 25, let's make some moves.
That's literally what football fans have been saying for the last 3 years at least. Is that they like you got to the final of the Champions League, you didn't win against Bayern Munich. Go to a team that really needs a striker because Karim Benzema's left Real Madrid as well. Go be the main man in Madrid. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But realistically speaking, I don't see it improving that much at PSG because every time you look at PSG, we judge them on their Champions League because of all the money they've spent and how much they're meant to be growing as a club, as a brand as well. And it doesn't really happen because Kylian Mbappe, in a way, feels lonely at PSG. He doesn't have the star quality around him like he did with Messi and Neymar. But again, they felt lonely because they were then left behind by the rest of the team behind them as well. The quality was lacking behind, in all honesty, as well, and in the coaching staff, and in the technical areas as well, and in the boardroom. And it goes to show that it wasn't built properly, and Paris really wasn't bought. Yeah, Paris really wasn't built in a day or in a week, like they said about Roma.
No,
Which
you're
is
so right. And I think it would be really exciting to see a player that is considered maybe the best player in the world to compete in a league that's just slightly more competitive, and nothing against the French league. There's still a top 5 league in Europe, but there are better leagues, and that's just a matter of fact conversation, whether it's England, Spain, or Italy. But I think, like, it seems like he could go to Spain, but I think he just needs to make a move in general. Like, I think you're too right with, the way Paris is going. And the thing is, when you're constantly shuffling out the managers, a team can't settle properly. It takes time for a manager and a team to kind of just understand one another. Like, there's no cohesion, if you know what I mean. So I
Yeah, it
think that
takes time to mold. Even the little things of getting used to the language, getting used to the way people work as players, and you've got a squad of 25, 26 people to work with. And if you're focusing on the main players all the time as well, you may then get worried about the fringe players as well. And all these little things don't get taken into account when a new manager comes in. And I was having that discussion today with my friend about, I still think Luis Enrique's got a world-class job in him left after the PSG. I still think he's got that quality about him, but
back to Barcelona.
are we going to see it? Are we going to see him bring a Champions League back? Are we going to see him bring an international trophy for another club, country, perhaps as well? There's so many conversations that we could be having about these coaches, but that's another topic for another day as well. But Kylian Mbappe definitely makes it into our joint list because I agree with you 100%. We are going from the boy in Paris to the boy in Manchester, and unfortunately, we are not going to be talking about Rasmus Haaland as much as I want to, but I'm not going to ruin our listeners' entertainment by talking about a Danish striker. I'm going to be talking about a Norwegian striker who I said earlier the season failed his country, and he definitely failed his country by not qualifying for
Yeah,
the European
Spain and
Championship.
Scotland said, "See you later."
I wanted you to do that in a Scottish accent. That would have been so funny to
Oh my
do.
God.
Imagine. I'm not gonna bait you out to our audience of what
No, no, it
accent
has
you did
to be
earlier.
natural. It has to be natural.
Has to be natural. But Scott McTominay with his Manchester Scottish accent, because he is from Manchester and represents Scotland, he brought Scotland through to the European Championships, and Norway didn't even get to the playoffs, for goodness sake, as well. So it goes to show that Edin Dzeko can do it for Bosnia, and you can see it with other countries as well, where they've gone through because they've had a really good striker. Dimitar Berbatov doing well for Bulgaria as well. Once upon a time, they didn't make it, but they made it through to the playoffs. Zlatan Ibrahimovic as well, getting Sweden too, and Henrik Larsson, of course, can't not mention Henrik Larsson.
Henrik, well, you were waiting for it. You were waiting for
I was
it.
teeing it up. I was teeing it up. I was going to do one of my foot golf reveals when I take my shirt off, and again, Sweden underneath, but it wasn't the case. Erling Haaland let down Norway. Martin Odegaard let down Norway this
Well,
season,
that's
and
the thing. You're comparing this Norwegian side to a team that genuinely had like a one player. we're talking about not only Erling Haaland, but Martin Odegaard as well. Like this, it was, yeah, it's tragic, but they let them down. You
Honestly.
talk about your Danish striker though. You get back to that.
I'll go back to Rasmus Højlund as well. Now, we spoke about him earlier as well, which is absolutely fantastic. But I still have belief that if this club is to be built around Rasmus Højlund, in my opinion, Manchester United will thrive once again because in the past, when you're looking at some of the most successful Manchester United sides, they were built around the striker. And now you're looking at it, you're like, who is it really built around? Bruno Fernandes? Are we building around
Yeah.
a centre back in Lisandro Martinez, a goalkeeper in Andre Onana? No, thank you. Build around a striker. That's how we get the best out of clubs. That's how we get the best out of teams. And all the best dynasties, barring one or two Italian teams, in my opinion, were built around attackers. And that's how I think Man United will grow forward. And hopefully we'll be talking about Rasmus Højlund in a lot more promising light as the season progresses. But we have to talk about our Norwegian friend Erling Brandt Haaland, who is at Manchester City, coming back from an injury as well, already on 14 goals this season, absolutely fired away Manchester City in the Champions League and fired them to a treble last season. But despite being injured as well, he's still the top goal scorer in the Premier League at the time of recording as well. And last season, he scored 52 goals, Sara. With Erling Haaland, does he have a lot more to improve in his game to be considered one of the best strikers in world football, or has he done enough already under Pep Guardiola and Manchester City?
Me personally, I think he has a lot to improve on. And I say this because for me, Erling Haaland is not your he doesn't seem like a footballer to me. That's the only way
Oh
I can
no,
kind of describe it, right? I think he's the kind of person where, similarly to Ronaldo, Cristiano, he trains so hard. He has the mentality, which is great because in the younger players, we see it go down the drain, Marcus Rashford. But he seems to have like a really good
I'm not
head
even
on
talking
his
about
shoulder.
Marcus Rashford. I'm looking at Sancho as well. I'm looking at so
Oh,
many
no.
Man United plays as well, which is really, really bad. And we can go
Something's
into
going on
another.
in Manchester.
It's just
Yeah, no.
Manchester, Manchester. I could do the accent. I could do a whole podcast with the Manchester accent, but I don't think my employers would
I want
like me very
to go
much.
live at the Scaza, Sadio
Scouse
Man.
accent. Sadio Mane, the best player in the world. Is he going to make the
Mate,
list? I wonder if he makes the list as well. Should be
oh
fun.
my gosh. No, but with Holland, anyways, like I love that he's so committed to the game. He trains really hard. You hear all these rumors about how he, like he's still growing, he like hangs like, what crazy. That's great. Amazing.
Sleeps in
Like
an oxygen tank, eats liver
yeah,
for
yeah, yeah. Like
dinner,
he
that
has like
type
a
of
like
thing.
a plug to his head. Like you know what I mean? Like he's like a cyborg. That's the joke. And I think it's great. Like he's very committed to his health and his longevity. Perfect.
Good role
But
model, I'd say. Very good
good
role
role
model for young
model.
kids.
For sure. I don't even think he drinks, like nothing like that. That's great. Like he's committed, and I really appreciate it.
He
Appreciate
appreciates a
that.
kebab every now and then. And I'm like, a man that
Oh,
appreciates
he
kebab, I
doesn't
don't mind it.
though.
I was going to
Ooh.
ask you off air, but I'll ask you now. It's going to be a bit insulting me asking you this now, but which cuisine is better, Syrian cuisine or Iranian cuisine?
Oh, do you know what? I'll be honest. I shouldn't answer that because I am not as well versed in Syrian cuisine as I am
Fair
in.
answer, fair answer, fair answer. But
But I
it was
will
the game today,
say,
and I was like, both cuisines are very good food. So I'm just like
I
looking
will
at it.
say it's probably Iranian just because I'm biased. But I
Don't
think
blame you.
just the flavors we got going on. I think like a lot of Middle Eastern food, there's like a similar kind of vibe naturally being, geographically located close to one another. But
Mm.
Iranians, like, I feel like they do it a little bit different. Like, we just add a little bit more like spice and flavor. And we have a lot of like veggie dishes too, which I appreciate because I
The
don't eat
sauce
red
as well
meat.
was crazy. The hummus,
Yeah, no, it's
especially.
lovely. It's lovely. It's great comfort food, to be honest. You can't eat it though and make a plan. Like you have to sit down and then take a nap. That's the kind of food it is.
Erling Haaland has a kebab before a game. I'm joking, he doesn't. He doesn't. But he says that he likes kebab as his cheat meal. So I'm like, that's crazy to see that he likes
That's
kebab.
so good.
And he likes kebab on pizza as well, which is a crazy combination, having kebab
Oh,
pizza.
stop. That is not good. I don't like it.
Nasty.
Yeah,
Absolutely nasty.
no, the Italians are shaking right now.
The
But
Turkish
listen.
people are shaking as well. Oh, my days.
No, with Erling Haaland though, like I said, I get all of that. His work ethic is fantastic. But he's not really like a proper footballer. Like when he plays, he needs service, first of all. It takes a lot for him to do it kind of on his own. So I think that's something he can improve on because it seems like he's very much like the tap and king in a sense because he's massive. And listen, There's no disrespect when I say that, because it takes a very strategic person to know exactly where to be, how to get there, how to make sure the ball goes past the keeper, with what part of your body are you using. I don't want people to think that I'm disrespecting him in that sense, but when I compare him to Kylian Mbappe, I'm taking Kylian Mbappe 10 times out of 10, because this is a player that actually has the technique. Not only can, tap a ball in, but he can take, a defender out from the wing and then cut in and do it on his own. Whereas, like, I don't see that with Haaland. And maybe that is just my bias as the football that I prefer to enjoy. But to me, Haaland, I think, can improve a lot still. And I hope he does. And it seems like he could, because he has that mentality. And I get he scored 52 goals last season and won the treble. But
Jeez.
I want to see that continue then. Not every year, but I do wonder, is that a one-off? Are you now, like, what are we going to see this year from you? What are we going to see next year? Are you ever going to leave City and go somewhere else? Like, I'm just curious to see how this is going to progress, because if it does progress at this level, it'll be crazy. But I think it's too early to say that he's considered one of the best. People were doing that, and I was like, don't you dare compare him to R9, please. Thank
Crazy.
you.
Absolutely crazy. That comparison as well was not great. Even people saying, "Oh yeah, it's the best foreign import we've ever had in the Premier League." I'm like, stop, calm down a bit as well. Not having that at all. Shouts out Eric Cantona. Shouts out Thierry
No.
Henry.
Oh,
Shouts out
no.
Cristiano Ronaldo as well. But yeah, that's
Tiki
what
was the person I thought of. Sorry.
that's okay. That's what people are saying. But I got two questions to then ask you in a kind of retort way as well, retorting way. One, I personally think with Erling Haaland, he's an old-fashioned striker that we get to appreciate and enjoy in the Premier League, because he is doing what a number nine striker would do 10, 15 years ago. Put him in
Mhm.
the box, 18-yard box, in and around the area, score any type of goal, get the ball in the back of the net, get your goals up, and be hungry for goals. And I think that's something that's missing in modern football, personally. And the second thing is, do you think that his style of play, and in a way, the way that he's then not limited, but the way that he plays in a certain type of way at Manchester City, do you think that worked against him in this year's Ballon d'Or and FIFA award ceremonies, where he won so many trophies? He was so lauded upon across world football for the goals that he scored, for bringing Manchester City their first treble in their history, and he still fell behind Lionel Messi in both the Ballon d'Or and in the FIFA awards of 2023. What do you think, Sarah?
It's hard to say regarding the awards, because people vote for the best player. I can't, speak on everyone who what
But
they're
that's
voting.
that's the thing, because I was having this conversation. I was thinking all these captains of different countries and captains of clubs as well, and you're seeing who votes for them. It's all Messi, 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 Messi. Journalists, Messi, 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 Messi. So what is it about Erling Haaland that they're not seeing about what is done? Is this going to be a stigma for him suffering from success in a way? That's what
I
I
don't
want to
think
kind of know.
it's not an Erling Haaland thing, in my opinion. If I'm looking at it and I was put in this position of having to vote, I mean, naturally I'm biased as a Messi fan, a Barca fan for sure. But
Mm.
I think when you're comparing any player to Messi, it's not a good day for that player, because these people, I think they're looking at it as who is the best player in the world. It doesn't matter what they won. When you think football, Lionel Messi is the guy. He is the best footballer that has ever existed. And I think that's what they're thinking of. Now, is that fair? No, it's
They're
not
definitely not
fair.
looking at Erling Haaland scoring the 52 goals. They're just like Messi, let's go for it. Job done.
That's exactly what I'm thinking, though. They're thinking about football in general. They're thinking about, if I have a team, who am I taking? They're thinking about, what have they done? Maybe not what have they done, but like how they play football. Messi makes people feel things that no, they've never felt before. You know what I mean? It's completely different. And I don't think that's Erling Haaland's fault. But I think the way people vote, they're not voting on what someone did that year. They're voting on who they think is a better overall player in the grand scheme of things. And I think Messi is still a better player than Haaland. Like, that's not, I don't care if he's not winning anything. Look at what the guy does on the pitch. And I think if people are thinking like that, then that's why they're going for Messi. It has nothing to
Mm.
do with Haaland, which is unfortunate. I
That's the
completely,
thing. Because it's like he then went to the Dubai Awards. That is now a new award ceremony over the last 3, 4
oh
years
yeah,
as well. And then
making up
his,
all awards.
yeah, I know we should do like a Friday Night Counter Attack Award and invite Erling Haaland. I'm
We
sure.
should do you know what we should do at the end of the season? We should do an award show.
No, we do, but it's like it's just me and Salim, and then there's no actual trophy. So I think this time
But
we'll actually get
I want to be in
trophies.
it, and we should all dress up.
We should. We should wear our suits and our tuxedos and stuff. Be looking
Oh, we
good.
should do that. That's fun.
We'll
Sorry, what were
message.
you saying?
No, we'll message the group out. It's a good conversation as well. I'm sure our listeners will appreciate it as well. It'll be like our own Oscars in a way, our own team of the season as well. At the end of it would be crazy. joint team of the season debate. Not like yours last season, Sara. That's how I first knew about you as well. Kelechi Kvaratskhelia centre mid. I'm not over that. I'm not over that at all. How you did that. That was crazy on Room 442. Shout out Room 442. But yeah, finally, the main striker, before we talk about honorable mentions, we'll talk about our main striker first. Harry Kane, Bayern Munich. Unbelievable. They're only 2 points now behind Bayern Leverkusen in the Bundesliga. They're looking to rock and roll against, I think, Lazio in the round of 16 in the Champions League. And
Yeah.
Harry Kane, like we said a couple of weeks ago, could be firing England to an international trophy this season, and it could be something incredible. But we've got to focus on the now of what is done since leaving Tottenham Hotspur for Bayern Munich. Tottenham are playing very good football, expansive, exciting, and enjoyable football. Harry Kane is scoring goals and still assisting and creating chances for his teammates in Kingsley Coman, Jamal Musiala, Leroy Sané, and he's having a lot of fun doing it at Bayern Munich as well. My question to you is Harry Kane going to be the mode of striker that you think everyone's going to look to follow growing up this over the next couple of years as well? Because I'm looking at it, he's a fantastic number 9, but he's also someone who can play as a number 10 as well. He can play as a deep line striker who can spray passes, who can get involved in the build-up of play as well. And a lot of people in England thought he would be perfect for Manchester City instead of Erling Haaland as well. But they went for Haaland, who can stretch to play, who can take on defenders with his power, with his pace. But if you're looking at a modern day striker, Sarah, I don't think Erling Haaland has that mold of a modern day striker. Harry Kane is, for me, what a modern day striker looks like in terms of gets involved in the play, builds up from the back sometimes as well, can score headers, free kicks, volleys. He can score penalties when he wants to. Sorry about that France one. I don't forgive you for that, Harry Kane, but he can score with both feet and is scoring a ridiculous amount of goals this season as well. And he was Bayern Munich's highest ever transfer record signing as well, 110 million euros as well. But what do you think? Do you think Erling Haaland is the way to go for modern day strikers, or do you think Harry Kane is the way to go? Because, like we said earlier, every striker we mentioned so far, Sarah, is a different type of striker.
Yeah, that's true. I do think Harry Kane is your more traditional one, even maybe more so than Haaland,
Mm,
because well, like you said, like when people think about strikers, I don't know if they're considering Greizmann. I don't
yeah.
know if they're necessarily considering Mbappe. Yes, he switched his position at PSG, but he still usually plays on the left. That is his preferred position. So when you do think of a striker, if they're not considered in the conversation, everyone immediately thinks of Kane because he is that more traditional striker that really does play in the center. And I think he may be that one that kids are looking at now that they want to be when they grow up, that people will remember as one of the best strikers of this generation, if not the best one, because he is that traditional striker and he gets the job done. And on top of everything, he is a good guy and he's somebody that kids look up to. And I think you're laughing, but I think that's
No, I
actually
agree. I agree because it's like even like my work colleagues in like previous jobs when they're watching Harry Kane, they're like, "Oh yeah, he's a good role model for my son," and they don't watch football. And I'm just like, I'm remembering these kind of moments when people who don't watch football, besides the
yep.
World Cup or the Euros, are talking about football because of someone like Harry Kane who brings a positive influence to football really and to a positive influence to sport, like Marcus Rashford used to do when he was feeding the whole of the United Kingdom, and he's feeding the kids of people, and the politicians didn't want to feed kids during lockdown. Whatever happened to that Marcus Rashford, who then also
Where
had
did he
his
go?
he had his best ever season as well at Man United after he's feeding the kids. So he
Last
was,
season. Last season.
yeah, he was doing that, and then now you're just like, where are the kids? He's like, I don't know. I'm gonna go to Belfast, mate. I'm
Where
gonna go to Belfast. It doesn't care about the kids anymore. Marcus, care about the kids, and you'll care about your future as a Man United player.
are the
That's all I'm saying.
children, Marcus?
Think of the children, literally. But no,
No, but
back to Harry Kane as well. Amazing role model. You were saying
it's
so.
true though, because not only does he seem like a sound guy, he's boring, but in a sense, that's good. Look at Lionel Messi.
I
Lionel
disagree.
Messi.
It's not even that boring anymore. He's having a lot more fun on social media with all of these challenges from the Bundesliga and Bayern Munich, and we never really saw that in
Okay,
the
see, I
Premier
didn't
League.
know that, but still, like even
He's
that,
a lot
that's
more
not
fun now,
like
which is I think Germany's brought the best out of Harry Kane in a way. He's a lot more fun to watch on social
oh
media.
good. No, but you know what I mean. Even like a couple stuff on social media, that's still not like he still like keeps to himself. It seems he doesn't like his family's like he seems like a very family oriented guy, and this is also just what I'm from what I'm seeing. Sorry, of course, like
Mm.
we don't know personally, but the comparison is Messi. People like Room 442 always gives me slack because like, oh Messi's so boring. No, yeah, because he was winning everything. He doesn't need anything else. He just wants to hang out at home with his kids and his wife and hang out with Luis Suarez at Inter Miami, and they're just having a good old time. And this to me is Harry Kane, but I think it's a good thing because I think in the long run, the perspective is there. And it seems like he knows what's important. And I'm actually like, yeah, he just seems like a good old, normal guy, just like all of
Is there
us.
something considered normal in 2024?
I don't know what that even means anymore. You're right. But
But
no, do you
yes,
know
down to earth, humble, normal
uh,
guy. I get what you mean. I honestly get what you mean as well. Um,
yeah, so I think that he is really like the striker of the generation at the moment recently.
I
Luis
would say
Suarez.
so.
Luis Suarez. I have Luis Suarez ahead of Harry Kane. That's personal opinion. We can leave that in the past because we're not talking about that today.
I
But
don't
yes,
talk about racist footballers, so I'm good to leave out Luis Suarez. That's all good. So we'll leave it be. We'll leave it be. It is considered a swear word on this podcast. So I'll bleep it out when we have it on as well, which would
oh
be
my
good. Say no
okay.
to racism, kids. That's my influence to the youth of today. Say no to racism.
That's to the youth. Yeah. So back to Harry Kane because he's for the youth. Yeah, no, I think like he's just a well-rounded, proper striker. Like you said, he can also play in that 10 position. And I think it's maybe because he's a bit boring that he's not getting as much of attention as he could.
Just
Maybe
focused on his job, like Haaland, just focused on his job, goal scoring.
it could be the fact that he's not won a trophy. Could be that. But I think that it's so funny because Harry Kane's not won a trophy, or he won whatever with Tottenham, the EFL or whatever, that Audi Cup, whenever the heck that
Yeah,
was.
he didn't know what he did in the EF. It was an Audi, a
Yeah, it was
pre-season
the Audi
trophy.
Cup. Yeah, that was. But the fact that he still doesn't have a trophy, but he's still considered maybe the best striker in the world right now. He does the talking on the pitch, and that's it. And I think he's great. And I really like him as a player. And I'm really happy he's doing well at Bayern Munich. But as we know, at Friday Night Counterattack, we are going for Bayer Leverkusen to win the Bundesliga.
We
Sorry,
are.
Kate.
It's the little things as well. Like I was listening to our recent podcast, our Asian topic, and we are big fans of Takefusa Kubo. We do want to see a high scoring game for Real Sociedad. When they drew 0-0 on the weekend, I was disappointed, but then I was realized
Yeah.
it's the Asia Cup as well, and they're missing a few players. So it's one of those things. I'm looking forward to seeing some of these players as well going forward. But before we get on to our honorable mentions and call this quits for our podcast, which has been a fantastic debate. This is what happens when I get my energy back, ladies and gentlemen. We're up for it. Sara's up for it. This is what we like to see and we like to talk about as well. What's our top five looking like as a joint? Because this is how I got it in my mind right now. We've got Antoine Griezmann, we've got Lautaro Martinez, we've got Erling Haaland, we've got Kylian Mbappe, and we've got Harry Kane. Those are the five I think we have joint on our list. Am I in agreement with you?
No, you're right. You're right. I'm not rating that from 1 to 5, by the way. Don't even.
I thought you said nah, nah. I was like, oh no, who have I missed out? Lautaro
There's a
Martinez can't come
few.
in.
There's one in particular that I think should really be there, but I'm not really sure if he can replace anyone. But
Mm.
yeah, I mean, it's a good list. It is a good list. It's a good list. A good list of players.
Go on then. Who's number five for both of us? Where are we going with this one?
Oh my God, you do actually want us to rank them from 1 to 5?
I'm joking.
Oh,
Um,
I was just sit down. No. I'm not
Let's
doing that.
let the audience decide what their top five is. We'll make it as a poll on social media, which will be great for this week. So we've got Lautaro Martinez for Inter Milan. We've got Antoine Griezmann for Atletico Madrid. We've got Kylian Mbappe from PSG. Erling Haaland, who's got back from injury for Manchester City. And we've got Harry Kane from Bayern Munich as well. So we've got five players who we think you guys would have to choose from. We're not going to do a start bench cell because that would defeat the whole purpose. But before we wrap up, honorable mentions time. And I've got a few, but I know, Sarah, you've got one or two that you wanted to mention who you thought could have made the list. Where are we going? Are we going back to Madrid by any chance?
We are going back to Madrid, and it has
There
to
we go.
be Alvaro Morata. I think he's just been
Oh my
fantastic
days.
this season. I also just think the fact it's similar to Griezmann, 31 and having the season of a lifetime. Just he has 13 goals in La Liga, 5 in the UCL. He's tied right now for top scorer in the UCL. Fantastic. The most goals he's ever scored in a season was at Real Madrid, actually, with 20. He has
Really?
13 right now.
Ooh,
He could beat that.
he
That's
could.
very exciting. It's all very exciting. And I just think when we see these, not older, slightly older players, I guess, but like
More
it's just
mature players.
more mature. That's a very polite way of saying it.
Mm.
But I do think it's a really it's incredible to see, the longevity and how they handle their career basically. And I just think it's also coming at the best time for Spain ahead of the Euros, because we've spoken on this podcast several times about the fact that since David Villa has, been out of that national side, Spain haven't really been able to find someone to replace him. And it looks like Alvaro Morata is, a little glimpse that could be that. Maybe, definitely not on the same level. Sorry, definitely. I want to
But he
make that
showed
clear.
glimpses at Euro 2020, but it was always the case where Luis Enrique, I think, was a coach at the time. He always played with
Yeah.
a false nine. So he played with Daniel Olmo, Mikel Arrizabalaga. You told me earlier.
Oh, Oyarzabal.
You told me earlier about Kepa Arrizabalaga, but I can't say Mikel Oyarzabal 5 times. Or
Oyarzabal.
Oyarzabal. He was on the wing. And then you had, I think, Ferran Torres on the right. So it was always the
Yeah.
fact that since David Villa and Torres moved out, phased out of football, you had someone like Diego Costa coming in. You had like Rodrigo coming in as well, Iago Aspas, but they were never first teamers. They were always bench players coming in. And I think that's where maybe the new manager has to kind of change it in terms of Alvaro Morata. Is he going to be the starting number 9 for Spain at the Euros? Do you reckon that will happen, Sara?
He has to be. He's the guy.
No, no
He is.
more false nines, nothing like that. No.
I hope not. I hope this, Spain play a little bit more just logically, because I mean, what we've seen in the last couple tournaments from them, this, it's tiki taka football, but it's not good tiki taka, and it's like, let's not focus on ball possession, just score the goals. So yeah, hopefully we'll see him have a really good tournament, regardless of Gabby being out, Balde being out. But yeah,
Hey,
Alvaro Morata has to be mentioned in this conversation.
nah, it's all good. Any other honorable mentions before we wrap up?
Yeah, I think we should. Well, we referenced Marcus Thuram, of course, at Inter. He's been absolutely fantastic this season. But how
What a
about
step up as well for Marcus Thuram when you're thinking about Borussia Mönchengladbach World Cup finalist last season, well for France, and now he's taken over Edin Dzeko, not Romelu Lukaku's role, Edin Dzeko's starting role for Inter Milan as well, against scoring 8 goals in the season. His most has ever scored for Mönchengladbach was 16 goals, and the fact that with Marcus Thuram and Lautaro Martinez, when they've been combining for goals, they've contributed for 42 out of the 50 goals that they've scored this season at the time of recording. And I think that's magnificent from Marcus Thuram and Lautaro Martinez, and also a
yeah,
positive into why two strike partners are so good for the modern gamers now, because you can work so well with one another as well. The 26-year-old has been absolutely fantastic, and I'm really excited to see what he can bring going forward. And hopefully, he's another weapon in Inter Milan's arsenal in the Champions League in the knockout stages for the rest of the season.
yeah, no kidding. I also think there's something so poetic about seeing like the next generation of a footballer, like their kid, their son is now thriving. Oh, it's brilliant, because it doesn't
Mm.
happen that often. So that's great. But I mean, there's a few that we have on this list. I mean, Son, we have not spoken about him.
Yeah,
Ollie Watkins.
my feelings about Son Heung-min, but yeah, Son Heung-min's been very good this season.
Yeah, you're the
Asia
worst.
I'm not the worst. I mean, he got attacked in that game against Saudi Arabia. They were pulling his hair, they were pushing him, and I remember when Suki was saying, shout out Suki as well, because I was listening to it, and Suki was right that the South Korean players are taught about discipline and being honourable footballers when they play for their country. And then I'm like, he's not like that when he plays for Spurs, but when he plays for South Korea, he's very disciplined and very calm. So I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
nicely done there,
yeah.
Heung-min Son. So yeah, as everyone knows, I'm not a big fan of Son, but do respect what he's done, and especially playing as a striker now. 12 goals and 5 assists for Spurs this season, and is going to be absolutely killing it when he comes back from the Asia Cup, which will be
Mhm.
good. A few for me. I can't not mention what's going on in the Bundesliga. So Serhou Guirassy absolutely killing it for Stuttgart. 17 goals in 14 appearances so far this season. I remember earlier this season we were speaking about how he could have been a really good January signing because he only had a release clause of around 20 million pounds, and no one bought him. No one took the risk on him, and Stuttgart are going to benefit from that for the rest of the season as well. You mentioned Ollie Watkins before I interrupted you about Sonic Min, but I've got to talk about Alexander Isak as well. Watkins and Isak are looking like some of the better strikers across the Premier League, and they're
Yeah.
looking like really hungry strikers who are always in and around the goals going forward. And Inter Milan are looking at your boy Mehdi Taremi from Porto as well. What's your thoughts on that?
Yes, Mediterranean. That's my Jude Bellingham Mediterranean jersey. Yeah.
Doesn't he have his
Listen,
own trademark celebration?
no, doesn't
Okay.
he?
I think he might do. I'll have to double
Is
check
it
that.
the P?
Yeah, it's that one.
Yeah.
For
I didn't
peace.
know that was like specifically. I don't know what that's for.
Peace. Peace in the Middle East.
Oh, is it? I didn't know that.
Is that P on my screen? Yeah, it is.
No, No, it's definitely a P. I know it's a
Okay.
P. Yeah, because like, you said it, and I
No,
was
I
like, yeah.
wasn't sure if it was like that, like in a different.
Is it for
I was,
peace in the Middle East though?
yeah.
Oh, good for him. No, that's good. That's nice that there's a little bit of meaning there too. Yeah, listen, I think it's great that he could potentially go to Inter with respect to Porto and the run that they've had in these past few years. It's been incredible, but Inter Milan are a bigger club, and I think it's important that especially these Asian players get that opportunity because we don't see it as frequently. So I think it would be so huge for not only Iran but all of Asia for a player to be playing for the Inter Milan. That's incredible. So I really hope it does
Shirt
work out.
sales through the roof as well in Iran.
Yeah, I love him. He's the best.
Even
Yeah,
after that red card that he got today.
don't even talk to me about it. I'm trying to figure out the carry into the quarterfinals
Yeah,
because
it should do. Normally it should do. It'll be a 1 game suspension.
is it one game? Because like they usually in the tournaments they have it like anything in the group stage doesn't carry into the next round, and then they have the quarters and the semis, but it won't carry to the
Sarah, the
final.
thing is, like every tournament has different rules. So I
And
don't know
that's why
what's
I'm
going.
asking you.
I don't know what's going on with the Asia Cup
Hopefully
because
it doesn't carry over because
with
they're playing.
AFCON it doesn't carry over, and then you'll get people suspended for the round of 16 games after getting 2 yellow cards, and you're like, this is crazy. Like it's just a normal
No,
red card, but
I don't think it would be fair to any of us, not just me being Persian, but Mehdi Taremi is, of course, Iran's best player. And I think you guys, everyone wants to see a fully loaded Japan and a fully loaded Iran and them to play the game that they play because this is, like we said, this is a final. And I think if you're missing one of the best players, it's just a bit of, oh, it just takes away from it, doesn't it? So I hope he'll be there. But yeah, he's absolutely one of the best strikers. I think he's top 10 for sure right now. Incredible, incredible player.
few more honorable mentions from me. We're going to go for Santiago Jimenez, Mexican hitman for Feyenoord as well. I think they got knocked out of the group stages of the Champions League, making it to the Europa League. So I'm looking forward to seeing more from him as well, which would be great. Brian Brobby is doing pretty well at Ajax, even though Ajax not doing that great this season as well. And obviously, I can't talk about. Oh, we spoke about Bayern Leverkusen earlier. So Victor Boniface, who's now injured until end of April because he got injured on AFCON duty. So his 10 goals in the Bundesliga has been absolutely critical, and his assist and his gameplay that's had for Xabi Alonso's success in the Bundesliga so far. So it's going to be a big miss until the end of the season. And Real Betis striker Borja Iglesias has signed on the emergency 6-month loan as well.
I know, I
So
sent you that. How exciting is that? It's weird to see Borja Iglesias though go to Germany. He's such a Betis player. It's like one
he's a
of those.
proper Spanish player that I'm looking at him. I'm like, imagine him in Germany working with Wirtz, with Schick, with Hoffman. But I think the Alonso appeal has it all. That's why Borja Iglesias was like, you know what,
Totally, totally. They have
got to
that
do it for him.
Spanish connection. And Iglesias is also like a proper like criminal on the pitch. Like he's a rough big guy. Like I think the Bundesliga is much more aggressive than the Liga. So I think though he kind of transitioned into that well because he's a bit of a savage him. In
Yeah.
a good way. Like he uses his body to his advantage. He's a big guy. So yeah, exciting to see that. Very interesting move. But yeah.
Definitely. Before we wrap up, one last question from me to you. Name a striker who you think is going to have a big success over the next 2, 3 seasons and why. You can say Victor Roque if you want, by all means.
No, I don't want to say anything about Barcelona, to be honest.
Don't worry. It's been a bad week for both of us. Even though Man United won, it's been a bad week for us still. Thanks,
Yeah.
Marcus Rashford.
Okay, let me just rack my brain. Mm. Do you know what? No. Hold on a second. I'm trying to think of somebody much younger, actually.
It doesn't have to be young. They can just, like you mentioned it again, Greizmann, Morata, they've had a second coming at Atletico Madrid. That's the kind of point I'm making, that they can still go on to different heights and different levels after having a few years
Well,
going downhill.
I mean, surely we like if Mbappe goes to Real Madrid, I think we all need to hide. We all need to take cover because I think we know what he's capable of. And I honestly think like he will only get better at Real Madrid. That's a bit of an obviously, I can't talk, obvious one. So yeah, that's a cop out. I'm not going to use that one. I'm actually going to stick with Mehdi Taremi, especially if he goes to Inter Milan, because he's only been getting better and better. We've seen Porto in the Champions League, that run they had last year as well. We've seen what he's doing with Iran. I mean, yeah, they didn't make it out of the group stage in the World Cup, but they're making a really good run here at the Asia Cup. And I think international level, club level, going to a bigger club, the Serie A, he will tear it up. Him and Lautaro Martinez. Yes, that is the answer.
Back your boy. I'm loving it. It's going to be great. I'm backing someone who doesn't play for Man United, who plays for Newcastle United, backing Alexander Isak,
I was
because
gonna say that, good, good, good.
with the whole 73 million pound loss that Newcastle have got with FFP, and they do have to sell players in the summer transfer window, I would love to see Alexander Isak go to a big club around Europe, maybe an AC Milan, or maybe even somewhere like a Napoli, where he's replacing Victor Osimhen, and absolutely thrive in the Champions League environment, because he belongs there. He has that talent, he has that aura about him as well. He has that London accent that a lot of people like to take the mick out of, but it's just a normal English accent from what I've seen from Alexander Isak. But again, I think it's going to be bigger than Newcastle in 2, 3 years' time, and I'd love to see him at one of the best clubs in European football. I still think he could do a job after Harry Kane and be the focal point at Bayern Munich, even though he has ties at Borussia Dortmund. But I think with Alexander Isak, all the potential in the world is there for me, to see one of the best strikers come out of Sweden since Zlatan Ibrahimovic, in my opinion, as well. And Henrik Larsson, got to plug it out there.
Henrik Larsson, and we'll end it on Henrik Larsson.
We'll end it there as well. Big thanks to our special guest, Amelie Vansgaard, my new favorite PSG striker as well. So shout out to Amelie. Big thanks to Sara Pereira, my new favorite. I was going to say FC Toronto striker, but
Yo, crazy.
that team doesn't exist, so it could be our FC FNCA striker. So I'm looking forward to it as well, which would be great fun. I'm looking forward to our new and improved, upgraded award ceremony at the end of the season as well, which will be great. We'll message it in the group. But no, thank you very much for your time, everyone. Thank you very much for listening. Do take care as well, and we'll see you on the next week's podcast. Goodbye. Stop. Oh no, wrong button.